This is the Ulanzi LT002 RGB pocket video light. Now, if you're in the market for a budget-friendly LED light that is super reliable, this could be a very good contender for you. And I'm going to unpack some of the reasons why it might be a good option for you to add to your equipment kit. It also has a couple of downfalls, and we'll briefly touch on that in this review. But before I dive into it, I want to just start off by saying that this review is completely unbiased, as I've purchased this light all with my own money. And so I'm here to give you a complete, unbiased, and honest review. So let's dive into the unboxing quickly so you can kind of see some of the features and what comes in the box. Okay, let's dive right into the unboxing and see what we get inside. Now, I'm going to pull this open, place it over here. So as you can see, when it comes right out the box, it already has the sort of silicone diffuser attached to the light itself. You can see we have an LED sort of panel here that kind of shows you kind of what your settings are, as well as 4 buttons, which I will kind of dive into for you to kind of get a better understanding in terms of what you're able to control in terms of the lights. Now, if I just look at the actual silicone itself, it fits really nicely. It hugs the corners, so it's not going to come off, which is great. And it feels like a really good quality sort of silicone mold. So I'm going to take that off quick and place it on the side. And let's just take a look at the light real quick. So you can see it's got a whole row of different sort of LEDs, and I'm assuming that the ones that are in different colors are what are going to give you that RGB effect, and then the kind of more blocky square ones are going to give you sort of the range of temperature that you can then set it to. So if we jump to the back, you can obviously see we've got a negative, a plus button. This one, I believe, is to change the actual sort of settings of the light, and then obviously up and down here to kind of change between, you know, your fine settings that you want to really sort of fine tune it to. Now, I can see here also that you have a thread that you can then obviously put a lanyard or something on. So that's quite nice, so that, you know, you don't end up dropping it. And you obviously have a 1/4-inch screw and then a USB-C port to be able to charge it. And then lastly, this is where you're going to find the power button. So it's quite simple to use. You can see that there's really not much to it, making it very easy to kind of understand right out the box. So I think let's just dive into the rest of the box before we kind of get into some of the light settings. Now, we have inside the box, we have the user manual, which is great, but I'm not really going to look into that too much. We then have this little pocket that we're going to just take off also. And here you can see we've got a honeycomb sort of diffuser. And this is a great option to have. I'm really glad that they added this into the accessories, because this is something that a lot of other sort of LED pocket lights don't really give you. In addition, they sometimes give you the silicone one, or they don't give you anything at all. So it's really nice that they've added these additional accessories to it, because this can really kind of help dial in the sort of shot you want to look for, or create that dynamic look if you are kind of shooting on it to a subject, or, you know, it just is really good to have as many accessories as possible so that you kind of have every option under the sun. Now, we do have a USB-C sort of cable, so it's USB to USB-C. And this is, I believe, 1.5 meters long. So it's a really nice long cable. So if you're going to use it to be able to kind of plug into the light and kind of charge it whilst in use, this is going to be really handy if you put it on a tripod and you're not having to kind of be fixed to a certain location based on kind of the length of the cable. So it's really great that they added something that's super long. Now, these are the magnetic sort of attachments that you can use to kind of attach to the light itself. Let's take a look here and see how they work. So I believe we'll put one this side and then one this side. Now, already I can kind of see it's got a lot of play and not very magnetic in my opinion. So I will do a little test a bit later and maybe kind of add it in. But my assumption here is that these are not going to be very good to use, and you might run the risk of the actual light falling off quite easily, or just kind of sliding down whatever sort of metal object you have sort of attached these to. So I don't think this is something that I'm going to use. But again, you know, it's nice that they added it, but I wish that they kind of gave a stronger sort of magnet so that, you know, you can feel safe when you attach this to any sort of wall or metal item. Okay, so I think now we can kind of get into the light itself. So let's power it on. So here you can see the LED. panel at the back here, which has your control settings kind of lighting up. It takes a couple of seconds, 1 or 2 seconds to kind of switch on, which I know that there are some other LED lights that kind of come on instantly, but for me, this is not a real big sort of concern. But let's dive right into kind of what you can see in front of you. So we have up top here, this is called the CCT mode, which I guess is the Kelvin kind of range you can select. And we have basically this button here, which allows you to go up and down to choose the setting that you want. And here we have the Kelvin. So if we, let's say, take it all the way down to kind of get that warmer light, you can see already it's starting to change to a more warmer tone in the background. Now, it's really great to kind of have this Kelvin, and I'll touch more on this feature kind of further on into this review, but it's really nice to have this option, as you know, you might really want to dial in your shot to kind of fit a certain environment. Now, we also have underneath it, this is now the intensity. So we can go, right now we're sitting at 30%. Let's pump it all the way up to 100. And you can see it's starting to get pretty bright. You can even see it on my hands. It's a really pretty good light for this size. I would say that, you know, it's got a good intensity based on the fact that it's a really small portable light. So it's really great to have these sort of features. Now, this button over here is what is going to allow you to kind of change from the CCT mode to the RGB to the effects mode. So let's give it a go. So now you can see we're in RGB mode, and what I want to do just right off the bat, just kind of switch the sort of intensity of the light down a bit so it's not too overwhelming behind me, or actually behind the light itself. So you can see here that what we have is basically H, which is referring to sort of the color range that you can select. And if we kind of start to pump it up, you can see that it's now changing to a more blue tone. So you have the full RGB sort of range here, which is great. And I'll kind of dive more into this feature again later on in the video. If we go here, we have the saturation, and then again, we have the intensity. So it's really nice that you can dial it in to kind of fit your needs. And then lastly, we have the sort of effects. Now, it has multiple effects. This is the HSR sort of far, so it's just changing throughout all the different RGB colors. We have, let's just go up here so that we can change it. We have a bunch of different ones: cop car, ambulance, there's sort of fire engine. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but it has 20 effects in total, and this is really great. And I'll touch on kind of a bit further on into the video kind of who might really benefit from this sort of functionality. But for my use, I most likely won't use it too often, but it's nice to have. And so if you are someone who thinks you would use this could be a great light to add to your kit. Okay, so I guess we can switch that off and kind of dive into some of the features. So let's get going.
Okay, so now that we've seen what's in the box and the accessories that it comes with, I want to quickly touch on some of the features that it has. So the first one obviously is the Kelvin range. It has 2,500 to 9,500 Kelvin, which is super impressive for a light this size. Now, what's really cool about having a sort of Kelvin range ability in this light is that you can really set the temperature of the light to your environment. So if you're outside and it's sunny and you want to kind of match that temperature, you can do so with this light. Now, one of the other features that I really bought this light for was the RGB feature, and I'm pretty sure it's why you are watching this video. It has the full spectrum of RGB, and it goes one step further that you can even dial in the saturation of the RGB as well as the intensity of the light. So if you're someone like a gamer, a streamer, maybe you are a content creator and you want to kind of use a light like I have in the background to kind of just light the scene and give it a more dynamic look, this could be a very good light for you. Now, probably the coolest feature that I find for this light is that it has a 2-hour continuous runtime at 100%. Now, a lot of other lights, I have some other RGB lights, for instance, the Godox TL30, it only gets a maximum of 1 hour, and that's if it's on a good day, I would say. So having 2 hours continuous runtime at 100% is a really good for this size light. Now, obviously, if you are using it, say 60% and you're switching it on and off, you probably will get up to 3 hours, maybe 3.5 hours, possibly even more. But Ulanzi have mentioned on their website that you can also use this whilst it's in charge. So that means you could possibly use it indefinitely. So that's another great feature of this light. Now, the last feature I want to talk about is its size and sort of portability. This thing is only 16.2 millimeters thick, which is like razor thin for a pocket light, and I really love it. Now, it's 7 inches and it is only 200 grams. So that means that if you are someone who sort of travels a lot, if you are a vlogger, or maybe you're a videographer or photographer that kind of does lifestyle shoots, and you need something that's lightweight, small, compact, that can fit into your bag or into your pocket, this is going to be a light that you can definitely add to your kit, and it's going to make a big impact because you're going to get a lot out of it for such a small size. Now, before I go into kind of the next step, I want to kind of just show you some of the light in sort of its function, show you how basically the sort of silicone filters work, as well as, you know, some of the features on the light. So let's get into that. Okay, so now you can see how horrible my shot looks. I've basically got the curtains closed with a little bit of natural light coming in. I've switched off my studio lights and I only have one light that is in this room that is on. So the purpose for me doing this is to kind of show you how the light looks when you don't have any additional light coming in and what it looks as like a primary light. So I'm going to switch it on now so you can kind of see a comparison from this to this. This is already much better. I can see myself. You can see my features. You can actually see me speaking. It's not kind of like super unprofessional, muddy looking. This already has a level up from what it looked like in its natural form without any light. So this is just to give you an idea. This is set at 100% right now, and I'm holding it pretty close. You can see it's not too far away. So you can see it's quite even. I'm holding it above my face. If it was you're seeing it directly, using it directly in front of you and seeing what it would look like, you get a good sense that it's lighting the entire face here. But what I really wanted to show you with this is kind of the diffuser. So I'm just going to quickly grab the diffuser, slap it on, and show you, boom. It already has softened my features quite a bit and given that a lot more kind of balanced light across my face. Now, if I take it off quickly, you'll see that the light itself kind of creates a lot of shine, like very harsh shine on certain areas of your face. It's only natural in places like your nose, your cheeks, your lips, your eyes, where there's a lot of sort of either oils or sort of wetness to it. So for instance, like your eyes, you can see the shine in there. But when you have the diffuser on, I've now switched it. When you have the diffuser on, you can see it's a lot softer. It's not as intense. You can still see the shine, but it's not as intense as what it was when it didn't have the diffuser on. So this is a great thing to have as part of the actual LT002 kit, because it means that like if you're starting out, you don't have to worry about this harsh, unnatural look. You can, with some natural light coming in, plus this, you're going to get a really good looking shot and really going to make your sort of content look very professional right off the bat. Now, I also want to have a look at the honeycomb. Now, this light, this diffuser, when put on the light, obviously serves a certain function. So you can kind of see it lets through a lot more light, which ultimately means you're going to get more shadows. And so if you, for instance, have, let's say, a mannequin or a figurine, and I'll show you some use case now after this of where these sort of silicones can be used, it will help create a nice looking shadow and just diffuse it a bit. So it's not like a super harsh shadow. It's just simply creating a bit more of a dynamic look. So it's really, really great. Now, if we go on to sort of the actual effects of the RGB, you can already see it creates a very cool dynamic look of half my face being in color and half kind of in shadow. And if I go out front, you can really dial it in to kind of give, if you have it overhead, you can really play around with it, which is fantastic when it comes to kind of the versatility of this. That's why I like this light so much, is that you have the RGB, you have the Kelvin range, and you have some effects. Now, obviously, I'm going to quickly just go through some of the effects. You can kind of see if you are a videographer and you want to create this kind of police cop sort of lights going off in the background, it's very easy to create this on a subject, and it gives that real life feeling of a cop car having its lights flashing in the background. So it's awesome to have. I just wanted to quickly show you this, and I think what I'm going to do now is kind of just show you some B-roll of basically the lights on a little subject and kind of the actual light in use, so you can get a good idea, other than it being shone onto a person, what it can look like on a subject. So now that we've looked at the light actually in use, I think we can kind of look at some of the negative aspects to this light. Now, obviously, I've mentioned a whole bunch of sort of pros, meaning that I've talked about the actual sort of features of this light, but I want to kind of touch base on some of maybe the downsides or downfalls of this light. Now, the first being is that the silicone sort of covers where the 1/4 inch thread screw is. It obviously has a hole there, and when you put it onto, like, say, a tripod or a sort of desk mount, once you've finished using that silicone sort of diffuser, you then have to unscrew the entire light to take it off. And now, although this is a small sort of negative, it's not necessarily a deal breaker, but it would have been nice to have had a slit in the actual silicone so that you can just simply pull it on and off. So this is something just to keep in mind. I just want to bring it to your attention because for someone it might be a deal breaker, but you know, if it's something that does bug you, you could always just make a cut and then you basically have that functionality. Now, the other thing is that basically the magnets, they're not very good. I tried to stick it to my desk and the magnets basically were sliding down. There wasn't really getting a good grip. So I kind of wish it had stronger magnets for it. So if you're planning on using it for the magnet functionality, I wouldn't really purchase it for that. I would rather go for something else that has a stronger sort of magnetic pull. Now, one of the other downsides is obviously that it has a 3-hour charge time, and I really wish Ulanzi had thought about this and maybe brought it down to a 2-hour charge time, because what it would mean is that you could technically buy a second one, and whilst you're using the one, you're charging the other, and then just switch it out. And that would be a really good, cool feature to have so that, you know, you always have a backup kind of going no matter what. Now, the last one isn't really a downfall, but more so it was my optimistic thoughts of what I could achieve from this light. And I guess I was wanting to kind of light the entire room in an RGB color, but because of obviously the size and the strength that comes with this light, it isn't able to do that. So if you're looking for a light that's going to light your entire room in that RGB color, you're most likely not going to get that sort of effect. But that being said, if you understand that you're going to use this light, for instance, like a background scene like this, you're going to be able to utilize it to its maximum potential. And you really are going to get a really good light for that sort of usage. So I want to speak also about finally the price. Now, it goes for $39.99. And this is the kicker, because I mean, at that price and for what you get in terms of accessories, I don't think you can really beat it in terms of what you get for this budget-friendly LED light. There's nothing out there that I've seen that's on the market. Maybe there is something. You can definitely leave a comment and let me know if there is. Maybe I can give a review for that product as well. But from what I've seen, this has definitely got the most value for money. And if you understand what you're going to be using it for, you really are going to get the most out of this light. Now, I'm going to leave a link in the description for the light itself, so you can also go check that out. And then you'll be able to kind of make a really informed decision by just seeing what they have on their website before you make your purchase. So I hope you guys have really enjoyed this review. I've enjoyed making it for you, and I hope you've been able to kind of take away kind of the features, the positives, the negatives, and you're able to make a really good informed decision on whether to buy this light or not. So if you've enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel. I would love it to see you guys come back and watch some more of my reviews. And also, if you have any comments or you possibly have purchased this light and would like to give further feedback to people, please do feel free to leave comments in the comment section. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll definitely be seeing you in more reviews. Let's get crafted.